Well, hi class, the end is near. We're almost to the end of the fall semester. And if you've already submitted your persuasive speech, then really the coursework for you is essentially over. Still two remaining assignments, but those are pretty quick, pretty easy assignments. That's the farewell speech and the final assessment. And that's what I'm going to cover in today's lecture. But before I do, first, I want to remind everyone that the deadline for turning in any work, any assignments for this class is tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. Is a week from Friday, December 17th at 11:59 p.m. That's the last day I'll be accepting any work for this class. So even if you're a little bit behind, make sure you get all your stuff turned in by the 17th of December. Also, too, boy, I sure am pleased with the quality, for the most part, of the final persuasive assignment, both with the outlines, and I've just started to grade the presentations, but what I've seen thus far has been really solid. And remember, that final persuasive speech, when I look at that, I'm also kind of looking at that like your final exam. And remember, if you want to get an A in the course, you've got to demonstrate that you've met your three goals that you established at the start of the semester. You've got to make sure that you've met the student learning objectives that I've established for the class. And I even made that real specific for you in the last couple lectures. To get an A in the class, you've got to make sure in that last persuasive outline that all of your source citations were done correctly. So you're demonstrating, I know how to cite sources when I'm giving an oral presentation, and you want to make sure in the presentation that you demonstrated you know the importance of practice. And so in those final presentations, I want you to be able to illustrate that you really put in the practice and the work that it takes to be an effective speaker. And the way I can really determine that is by how well you keep your eyes on the camera. And so if your eye contact in that final persuasive speech is up around 70%, cool. That means that you practice your speech enough so that you can look at the camera and get through 2 to 3 lines at a time before you have to glance at your outline or at your notes to get that next line. So want to make sure that I see that in the persuasive speeches, and you want to make sure that you also, in the final assessment, that you do a good job of explaining what you learned in the class. So to do that more specifically, let's go ahead and jump on the modules I'm going to cover now. First, that final speech that you're going to give, the farewell speech, and we'll talk about what you need to do when you write out your final assessment for the class. Let's go ahead and jump on the modules now. Okay, so we're on the modules. And here you can see we have 2 assignments remaining, the farewell speech and the final assessment. Let's first talk about the farewell speech. All right, so right here, you can see the guidelines. And so, and just kind of an overview, what I'm really after with this final speech, 2 things: chance for you to bid goodbye to your classmates, but more importantly, an opportunity for you to tell us what you learned in the Introduction to Public Speaking class this semester. So 1 to 2 minute video, and make sure when you post your video that it's embedded just like all the others. Opportunity to say goodbye to your classmates. And real important, this also gives you an opportunity to recap what you've learned in the class, and specifically what I'm after in this assignment is to give you the chance to explain how you have met each of your goals for the semester. Remember, in that first introductory speech, you were asked to present 3 goals, 3 things that you want to accomplish this semester. So in this last speech, you're going to tell me how well you met those specific goals. Also, real important, in this final presentation, I want you to demonstrate that you've learned how to structure a speech. So be sure to structure your speech based on what you've learned about speech structure this semester. And really, That should be the big difference that we see between that first introductory speech and this final farewell speech, that you've learned how to structure a speech. So in the presentation, there should be an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. In the introduction, we all know that the best way to begin a speech is with a short attention getter. So those are the things that I want to see. Divide the body of the speech into a couple main points. Make sure you preview those main points at the end of the introduction, and you summarize those main points as you go into your conclusion. So in this final speech, demonstrate that you know how to organize and structure a speech. And from here on out, when you have a public speaking opportunity, whoever asked you to speak probably isn't also going to go, and here's the outline format that I'd like you to use for the speech. No, those are all things that you have to be able to figure out. So that's why it's important. Am I giving a critic speech? Is this more of an informative speech or a persuasive speech? You know, the different structural formats. So at least show me a sense of structure and organization in this final speech, especially if you're going to argue that you deserve an A in the class. Well, a good way to demonstrate that is to show me you know how to put a speech together and you know the important structural components for a presentation. And then once you've submitted your farewell speech, please go back and respond to each of your classmates' videos, just like you did with the introductory videos at the start of the class. Okay, now let's talk about the final assessment. And this is your last assignment. And really, this is a chance where you get to participate in the discussion about what your grade should be for the semester. And so the final assessment is a written assignment, and you're just going to answer these questions. Tell me what you liked about the class. Tell me if there's anything you didn't like about the class. Real important. What were your goals that you established at the start of your class? Did you meet those goals? How are you applying your goals now? I mean, that's a cool thing about taking a public speaking class or any class that focuses on communication, because you're learning things that you can actually apply. So, are you having an opportunity to apply already what you've learned in the class, and what did you learn as a result of applying those goals? So real important in that final assessment is you addressing what your goals were at the start, how well you've met those goals in the class, and how you are able to apply those goals in your everyday life. Number 4, what grade value would you place on what you have learned? And what I'm really after here is, tell me how valuable the information is to you that you've learned in the class. And then the final aspect, determine and defend what your grade should be for the course. And all I ask here is have some integrity. Like, if you didn't put your best effort into the class, then don't ask for an A. And I'm more likely to bump a grade up if you're honest in your assessment, especially if you're kind of on the border. Instead of saying, well, I deserve an A for all of these reasons, and they're not really valid reasons. If you tell me, look, I probably should get a B in this class, here are the reasons why, and you're honest, you have some integrity, cool. I mean, that we should be teaching that in the classroom too, right? Have some integrity, so let me see some integrity. Just be honest with yourself, and really, I know the focus for students is always on the letter grade and the GPA, but that doesn't really tell us what you're learning, right? What did you actually learn, and how are you able to use that to benefit your life and the lives of others? That's what we're really after with any kind of education. It's not about the grade, it's about what you learn and the impact that's having on you and on others. So that's what I'm looking for in that explanation. Tell me what your grade should be and why. And real important to that is your ability to explain what you've learned in the class. And so on the final assessment, tell me what you liked about the class, what you didn't like, Real important aspect. You want to look at your goals and determine how well you met those goals and applied them. What grade value would you place on the content that you've learned, that you're taking away from the class? And what grade do you think you should receive based on how well you met your 3 goals for the class, but also how well you met the student learning objectives for this class? And I tried to make that even more specific for you, especially as we got into the persuasive speeches. If you're going to ask for an A in the class, that means you got a complete on the persuasive outline assignment. You've got all your source citations in correctly. You know how to format and structure and organize a speech. And in the presentation, you've demonstrated to me that you know not only the importance of practice, but how to practice effectively and efficiently. And those are things that I'll be able to detect in your final presentation of the persuasive speech based on your eye contact, your vocal variety, and just how comfortable and confident you look in front of the camera. Okay, and then last of all, hey, anything you think I can do to be a better teacher, I want that info from you. Look, I've been doing this a long time, but boy, I learn stuff every semester that I can add to my teaching ability so I can keep getting better and better and better. That's what I want from you. So anything you can tell me that's going to help make me a little bit better as an instructor, cool. And that's going to have no impact. In fact, really what I do, even before I read that last section, I go ahead and determine what your grade is. And unless you really rip on me, you'll probably keep that grade. No, I'm just kidding. So any feedback from you, much appreciated. That helps me do a much better job at imparting the instruction to you to help you be a more well-rounded citizen. All right. So we've got the final speech. That'll be the farewell speech and the final assessment. Remember, everything needs to be turned in by Friday the 17th. Keep working hard. Don't let off the gas pedal on these last 2 assignments. Let's give our best effort all the way through to the end. All right, let's finish strong, everybody.